Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and you're listening to Sunday Journal. I'm here in the studio with Kate Ferreira of Housing Assistance Corporation, or HAC, and Julie Kramer of POAH, which is Preservation of Affordable Housing. And we're talking about Melpet Farm Apartments, which is being constructed in Dennis. Welcome to Sunday Journal to both of you.
Hi, Laura.
Hi there.
Let's start by telling people what Melpet Farm Apartments is, and this is a new affordable housing development. Where is it and how many units?
Well, we're located on Route 134 in South Dennis, next to the Airline Road. It will be 27 units that will be in 8 different buildings that will be a farmhouse style. There'll be a unit mixture of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom rental units. So it's conveniently located to the Mid-Cape Highway and also to Patriot Square.
And going back, this property has had a long history.
It has gone back a while now. Any resident of the town of Dennis is familiar with that. There had been affordable housing units, 14 units, years ago on the site. Over time, those became vacant and were in disrepair. The town of Dennis has been amazingly supportive, and the town meeting vote had appropriated that site for the special purpose of affordable housing. In 2010, the town issued an RFP, which is a request for proposals, to replace that housing that was no longer in use. So in late 2010, Housing Assistance Corporation was awarded the project by the town of Dennis, and since then has partnered with POAH, or Preservation of Affordable Housing, in order to make these 27 units now a reality.
Now, the existing units, do those stay, or do you start from scratch on those?
We've started completely from scratch. Those units were no longer habitable, and so now we're able to have a blank slate. The town actually took those old units down, I think over a year ago at this point, and we were able to start construction mid-November 2014.
And the property used to be a farm, is that right?
It is still partly a farm. The RFP Kate spoke about also included uses for farm land, primarily horses. So it does include stables now, currently, and they've been in operation for about a year or so.
That's correct.
So whoever lives there in the future, they'll be abutting really a working farm, and that's part of the scenery over there.
Correct.
And we talked about that these are apartments, these are rental units, which I know on the Cape we often hear about affordable housing, and there is a lot of talk about the need for rental units. Have you both found that in your agencies?
Absolutely. Preservation of Affordable Housing owns units throughout Massachusetts and actually 7 different states. And we find the need on the Cape to be deep. There are a lot of residents who grew up here and want to remain here on the Cape, and we're seeing the housing stock not there for young families, especially on the rental side. HAC's done a remarkable job with their work here on the Cape, trying to locate homes for young families and those who wish to remain on the Cape. So this project brings to Dennis, to a very key location in Dennis, 27 units of primarily family housing, primarily 2- and 3-bedroom units. And it is income. You have to income qualify to rent these units, which means that your income has to be 60% or less of the area mean income, AMI for short. So the units will, 100% of the units will be affordable to households earning 60% or lower AMI.
And for people listening who may not know what the median income is, do you have some of those figures about what people's incomes have to be in order to be able to apply to live in these units?
We do. We have, it's based on household size. And so we're really generally looking at maximum annual income. So just as an example, a family of four, their income could not exceed $52,500 as an example. So it would be based on your household size, obviously. There are some minimum income requirements just to make sure that you can afford the rent, but we're really just making sure that we're staying below that 60% maximum. And in exchange for making sure that we have people that income qualify, we're able to keep the rents in check and affordable.
And so you might have a couple of parents, a couple of children, or maybe a single parent with several children. And these are people who tend to have a job. Maybe it's a seasonal job, but they can't quite make ends meet in order to purchase a home, but they need a home for their family. Isn't that right?
That's correct. And we do gear our housing to to families, because they are now primarily being built as 2- and 3-bedroom units.
Not everyone can afford to purchase a home, and so there is this need for rentals. And Kate, in terms of housing assistance, what are some of the resources housing assistance offers for people looking for affordable rental units?
Well, we have a weekly rental listing that's updated. It's available on our website. Also, if you were to stop by the office, they're available for pickup there. We are located right down the road at 460 West Main Street in Hyannis. We also have a number of different programs and resources available to people that might be struggling to make to find housing, and also to make their rent, quite frankly. We do have an HCEC coordinator named Liz Belcher at our main office, and she's kind of our first line of defense. And so I often let people know to stop by our main office or to call the main office and ask to speak to Liz about what resources may be available to them if they are currently struggling to, stay in the apartment that they're currently in, or if they're having some financial difficulties. Hopefully the development of more new affordable housing such as this will help people out quite a bit.
And how do people get qualified for these units or any other affordable rental units that are available?
On this particular project, we actually have 7 of the 27 units that will be set aside for folks making less than 30% AMI. And those units are covered by what's considered a project-based voucher. So that voucher allows folks who are making what's considered extremely low income to rent these units with a subsidy that's provided from the federal government. Those units are on a different path than the balance of the units. The 20 units will be chosen through a lottery. So we are holding a lottery here for the 20 units that to qualify for those units. There is quite a bit of paperwork, and we do evaluate your various incomes, your part-time work, your full-time work, any Social Security disability, any income that's coming into your household, and it's a process done fairly regularly for this type of housing, and the process is handled through the management company that will be managing and operating these rental units. You go through a checklist of items that you have to provide to them. They calculate your income, and we'll let you know if you qualify.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm talking with Kate Ferreira of Housing Assistance Corporation, or HAC, and Julie Kramer of POAH, or the Preservation of Affordable Housing. Now, you were talking about the different ways people sign up to qualify, and what you pay is 30% of your income. Is that how this works, or does this work a different way?
On the 7 units that have a project-based voucher attached to them, that is correct. You pay 30% of your income as rent. On the other units, the other 20 units, the rent is set according to what is affordable to someone making 60% AMI, or area mean income. So the rents are currently set for a one-bedroom at $877 a month, for a two-bedroom, $1,077 a month, and for a three-bedroom, $1,240 a month. What's important to note is that those rents include all utilities.
And I'll second that. That's super important, because over at HAC, we do see people struggling, and those rent affordable is a relative term. We all can appreciate that. But compared to some of the other rental prices that we've seen out there, $1,500 or more for a two or three bedroom, this is a significant decrease. So
absolutely, well below the market rates. Now, what stage is the development in? Where are you at in terms of construction?
We are happy to report that the first building has a roof on it. It's awaiting its siting, but all of the framing has been done. We actually walked the building, and we could feel the size of the units, the location of the bathrooms, the bedrooms. So it really feels like a real construction site now. We were delayed a little bit because of the snow. We were not expecting this kind of snowfall, especially on the Cape. But we have a fantastic builder, Delphi Construction, and they have really given us the comfort that these units will be available for folks to begin renting in September, and that's an important date for us as we look towards a family living there and wanting to obviously be settled before school really gets underway. So we expect the first units to come online in, maybe late August, beginning of September, and then the buildings will sort of phase in occupancy and construction through probably the end of October, beginning of November.
So it's really coming right up. Now, before we get into some of these deadlines for people applying, how are your two organizations working together on this, and how does the financing work?
Housing Assistance Corp, as Kate noted, was awarded the development rights for this project. And as things started moving along, and HAC had secured the special permit, the right to build the project, POAH came in and helped Housing Assistance Corp secure the financing. It's a very competitive process here in Massachusetts for the award of the primary funding source for this project, which is the federal low-income housing tax credit program. So together, we really put forth a very strong application, having the local knowledge of the housing needs down here on the Cape, with HAC and POAH sort of providing some of the tools to get the financing put in place and the construction going.
And we were talking before the show a little bit about one aspect of them is energy efficiency.
That's absolutely correct. One of the really important things for POAH and, of course, for HAC being here on the Cape is the ability to build sustainable projects. So Kate mentioned that the prior units that were on this site really fell into disrepair, and much of that came from the fact that they were very expensive to operate and run and to heat and all of that. So we felt we owed it to the town to make sure that these units were built to the highest standard possible for energy efficiency. So we have triple glazed windows, we have added insulation, we have very, very high efficient heating and cooling systems in place here. LED lights where we could. So it was very, very important to both organizations that we maintain these for the long run and that they remain affordable in perpetuity.
And for people interested in these units, I think there are some deadlines coming up.
Sure, we've actually been receiving I have personally been receiving a number of calls. Everybody is seeing the construction. They're really excited to learn more about it. The applications are available local places like the Dennis Town Hall, the public library. They'll also be available on a site-specific website. I can give you that name, which is going to be Melpet Farm APTS, as in apartments.com. Also, the Housing Assistance Corporation website will have a link to that application. So there will be a way to download the application. There will be an information session that will be happening on April 29th. And that will be at the West Dennis Grade School at 67 School Street. That will be in the evening between 5 and 7:30. So we encourage anyone who's even remotely interested to come and ask questions and pick up an application and learn more about the project. The deadline for all the applications will be June 12th. And all your applications would need to be in at that point in time. And then there'll be a lottery that will be held later in the month of June. And at that point, then, once the lottery is done, they will start to process the applications. And I don't think that we've pointed out, but it is important to note that there is a local preference to the extent that it's allowable for folks that are currently residing in Dennis or work in Dennis or have children attending school in Dennis. So that was important for us also.
That local preference, is that for a certain percentage of the units?
That's correct. The town really felt strongly that they wanted to make these units available to folks on the Cape, but really with a preference for folks living, as Kate said, living in the town of Dennis. So that is, it's 70% of the 20 units that are not covered with a project-based voucher. So there's 14 units. And how the lottery works is there are two buckets. So local preference are put in one bucket, and we pull their names and give them a lottery number from 1 till 300, whatever the case may be. And then those names are also put into the general pool. So as a local applicant, you actually have a chance of having a lottery number in both pools. So we really encourage you to learn more about the units, learn more about the income restrictions, and, of course, apply.
Are you drawing every name in June, or will you have another lottery as more units become available?
No, it's a one-time lottery, which is why it's important. These dates are important to take note. It does take a while to lease these units up, primarily because we have to give preference to the folks who are at the top of the lottery. So those applications have to be processed before we can move on to the next one in line. So it does take a while. I know that's difficult for some folks who are looking for housing now and who really want to secure their housing needs for the school year. But we want to work with you, and we want to make sure that the folks who are in greater need of this housing, put their name in the lottery. And, we deal with circumstances all the time where we have to accommodate certain move-ins. So we really encourage you to apply.
And thank you so much, Kate Ferreira from Housing Assistance Corporation and Julie Kramer from Preservation of Affordable Housing, or POAH, for being with me here today.
Thank you, Laura.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.